Okay, sure. I'm having my coffee, so that's also fine. Yeah, sure. Hi, Deepali.
Hi.
Hi. How are things? I believe Delhi is still quite cool and pleasant.
Yes, it's lovely. It's still very
It's turned
nice.
hot. Hmm.
Good time for a visit, Gauri.
To visit, no? Yeah, actually,
Yeah,
no? Between
yeah,
now and March sometime, really. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Plan a visit.
yeah.
Good.
I'll plan, yes.
Yeah.
You know, I've got two PDF files. I just told Krish to remind me to put them on the chat towards the end, because there's so much to do with some stuff that I've written, so much to do with today's question. It's almost as if the those pieces, they're old, not old. One is 10 years old, but one is, you know them, I think, Dipali, you've read them about relocating, downsizing.
Okay. Yeah. I
So
have.
I thought I'll just put them there for anybody who wants to read more on this. So, one second. I think he's no, I can see. Okay, Sonali, I can see. Hi, hello, Sonali.
Hi.
Hi, that's nice. And there's somebody's iPhone. I don't know who that is. Doesn't have a name. That's all right. Person, people, you know, we are absolutely fine with people staying anonymous here. That's not an issue.
Ma'am, we can begin if you want.
Should we start? We'll just start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hi. Yes. Welcome to Dil Ki Baatein on the platform JNS Live. Here we will, every week, we've been since December, end of December, we've been fielding questions, which come to a WhatsApp number that we give out. And just taking that one question, and I talk about it, I ask questions back. It is completely anonymous. The person who writes the question, even I don't know the name, just the question is sent to me with a pseudonym. And then, you know, after I've said whatever my thoughts are on it, we open it to the room so that people can participate, share their experiences or comment specifically on that question. And it turns into, not instead of just a, you know, just a lecture, it turns into a discussion on that particular thing. So for any of you who've come in new, we've had subjects like, so about a parent, a widowed man wanting to now get involved with somebody, but his children giving him a very hard time about it. We have had people who are retired and whose children are sort of not letting them retire and saying, you know, don't watch this, don't watch that. Why are you watching Sas Bahu? You have such a fine mind. You need to teach. You need to do this. And the retired person feeling kind of, you know, as if they're yapping at her heels to continue being that same person she always was. We had that. We had a few. Last week was a really serious one. Somebody writing in about surviving your own grown child, surviving how to uh, cope with the death of your own child. There's also post-retirement blues in terms of within a couple, the very different ideas of what to do now with their time. I remember this person saying that, you know, I do want to do a lot of stuff on my own, and it has nothing to do with getting along or not getting along with my husband. We have cooperated as parents, as a couple, as children of our older parents. And I now want to do something solo, and my husband is taking it very badly. So these are the kind of questions that come in, you know, ranging from the matters of the heart or intergenerational issues or things like this, you know, tragic circumstances. Today, Today we have something which, when I read the question, I smiled because it's something I've been writing about recently and in the past. And I will put two links, not links, two PDFs here on the chat later. But let me first read you the question. Uh, the theme this week is about downsizing or moving from your old life or your old house to another living situation as you age. That's the theme this time. So Anisha writes, हेलो गौरी जी, मैं आपके सेशंस रेगुलरली सुनती हूँ यूट्यूब पे. So this session is always also live on YouTube. इसलिए I felt I could talk to you here as your replies are non-judgmental and practical. As I'm approaching 70, there is pressure from my son and daughter to start giving away things, reducing things जिसकी साफ सफाई and maintenance करना अभी आसान नहीं है. These are things that my husband and I have used and enjoyed for the last 30 plus years in this house of ours. He is no more, and many of the things carry memories of our life, our friends, our travels. Their suggestion is that I consider moving into a smaller, more manageable place. So many things have to go too. I know they do not want most of my things as they have their own homes. So does it mean कि सब कबाड़ी में देना पड़ेगा? I do not need to make money from these things, but how to just one fine day chop up and throw away my life this way? She asks. Please advise. I will get them to listen to your session too. So this is something, that all of us seniors at different, especially in modern urban living, at different junctures have had to. We may not do it as soon as we step into 60. We may do it later. Sometimes we may have early intimation that we are going to need to do it. And so in our 50s, there's a bit of a culling or a realistic look at our living situation, what we own, what we need. There is I suppose in some people, a great reluctance. Of course, it's like when you are told you must make your will. It is an intimation of your mortality, isn't it? It is an intimation that that now is the time to turn towards this. But none of us need to treat it like a sentence, as if somebody is saying, life as you know it is over. But it does seem like that. It's understandable. It seems like that sometimes, especially if you have not organically come to this yourself, and somebody from the outside, near and dear ones, are beginning to nudge you gently towards thinking about these things. All of us know people who even refuse to make their will out of this fear, and it's an awkward. A will is an even more awkward thing for your children or your siblings or anyone who's close to you to nudge you to do. But to start with, I'd like to say that let us treat this, and I want to say this to Anisha also, not so much about facing our mortality, this part about, re-looking at our living arrangements, what we own, what owns us. Literally, some of those things have begun to start owning us. But more to see this as a sort of savoring of our own lives, as you slowly put filters to things. And of course, nobody is expected to do it overnight. But it's also a way of savoring the long life you have led with all these things. That, first of all, I think is an important sort of what should one call it? Relabeling of this stage of what is required of us. But I think it's important that we do it before it becomes a chore and a pain for the others. I think it's a more dignified and practical approach to managing your possessions and carving your way ahead in how you're going to live. So there's a very interesting book. I only recently got to hear of it, but I think it's from 2018. I looked for it, but I don't think you get it Indian Kindle or Indian Amazon. It's written by a Swedish woman. It's called The Gentle Art of Swedish death cleaning. They call it death cleaning, which sounds like a very grim word, but apparently the book is written very light, with a very light touch. And how to free, the subtitle is How to Free Yourselves and Your Family from a Lifetime of Clutter. So it around the world, people are thinking of, once you enter your 60s, Gen S, as we enter, become, the writer gives us 5, 6 things to start with, which she says, first of all, look at something and say, do I need this now? Again, embedded in the question is not, this is a useless thing. Do I need this now? It's been very useful to me. Do I need it now? I find, it's such a mundane piece of equipment, but it stands for a lot of things. This side of India, in Maharashtra, there is a very awkward vessel that we own, a gadget that a lot of people own, which is called a Puran machine. This Puran making machine. It's big, it has parts, it is in different angles. And do I need this? You may have been making the greatest of Puran polis in it, but maybe you're not going to be making any anymore. You found a Puran poli supplier, and maybe it's time to get rid of something which is just become, it's just there. It's almost become invisible to us. Some of our things go into our blind spot. So important to make them visible by asking these questions. So do I need this now? But that now is an important. I'm adding the word now. She says, do I need this? Have I used it recently? Is the attached question. Will it now bring joy to someone else? That I think is very, very, very useful. And it says there that in this whole Swedish woman's thing is the art of living and dying. One of the important things is to start, enriching somebody else's life instead of moaning about how I am getting impoverished by giving away my Puran machine being just an example. So then will it bring joy to someone else? In India, that's often the answer is a resounding yes. There are just so many takers for things who will do well with it. Will anyone be happier if I keep this? That also is a legit question. If you're keeping it for somebody very specifically who'll use it, or it remains in the house, will somebody be happier for it? Sorry, this camera is swiveling strangely. So I feel it's actually, it can be a very comforting activity once you commit and submit that this now needs to be done. Then it's comforting because each thing that you're going to give away, some of it is pure clutter. I know people who've kept children's school reports, your own some electricity bills from God knows when. That is just clutter, and it's very easy to say. Maybe you have large enough space, and you always, again, we in India, we are so nervous about who knows who'll ask me for my electricity bill from 1998, and so you've kept it. But to sit down and say, I can now do without, that is easy stuff, but should be done too. But the other is this kind of stuff, which has served us very well, which we're fond of, which may not just be a Puran machine, it may be something much more sentimental that you own. But again, to subject it to, do I use it now? Now, you may not be physically using it, but has it gone into my blind spot? The little shikara that I bought in Kashmir on my honeymoon, the wooden shikara, it's falling apart. If it's serving a purpose, if you still see it and feel so good, then it stays. But if it's just gone into a blind spot and you really is only a thing that needs dusting, then it possibly goes into a box where you start labeling what you'll give away. The Swedes also talk about taking responsibility for your impact on the people around you. Now, this is a very big sounding word, but to leave a big unresolved, with your feelings about it not clear to anyone, big or small, but a house full of things, even paperwork that is incomplete, leave alone wills, even bank accounts where nobody knows what is where. This is a very, I think it's a very selfish act where, I think if you have younger people who are nudging you and having that awkward conversation with you, I think it's a luxury. It's a luxury to have somebody in your life who lovingly says, "Iska kya karne wale hai? Uska kya? What is your ichha? What are you going to do with this? What do you want us to do with this?" Instead of it happening much later when everybody is just barely holding in their irritation, saying, what do we do with all this stuff? What do we do with this? Look at the cockroaches. Don't even let it come to that place where only you can see its value and everybody only feels, not just sees, feels its nuisance value. And the realistic thing that we must know, that if we leave things untouched, the day you pass away after a decent interval, somebody will have to come and just do it in one sweep, instead of the luxury of you now picking up ek cheese and saying, "Oh, I think so and so would like this." Whether it's precious things, jewelry, antiques or stuff like that, or even just nice little gizmos, dishes, serving bowls, where, again, a word of caution, though it's inevitable that one may feel sad because it is a nostalgic thing to say, I don't think I'm ever going to have a sit-down dinner for 12 people anymore. I will keep 6 of these plates, or 4, or 2, whatever your plan is in life. And if I need to suddenly do it, I will hire. I don't think it is it is maybe a nostalgic thing to look at those plates and see almost as if it turns into a TV screen. See all the wonderful things you've done, the wonderful things you've served, the people who've eaten off those plates. It's lovely. But it's clearly the time for it to go to somebody who's ready now for that stage of their life to enjoy and savor your old stuff. If nothing else, if you don't know anybody like that, there are enough now, even in our country, in our cities, enough thrift stores where you go and leave it and somebody buys them for a small price, but it may not be somebody you know. You may not have the pleasure of somebody saying, "Hey, today we're having dinner and we're using your plates." Maybe not, sometimes, sorry. But it is still a channel. And in this way, she uses, I saw a review of that book, and somebody uses the word fostering mindful connections with objects. A mindful connection, not just itne saal tha isliye ye idhar hai. Because then that can be snatched, and it just overnight turns, if you're gone and you've done nothing. You've not lovingly, mindfully picked it up and said bye-bye to that thing and given it on to somebody else. Saris is a prime example. Saris. Sorry, is this camera swiveling all over the place? Yeah, sorry. And it encourages, of course, generosity. Once you decide that some of my things could be of use to somebody might be delighted to use them, and somebody might never be able to afford it and they get them. Even if it's a little, whatever, bar fridge that you have. Now, you don't need a bar fridge. You give it to somebody who's not dreamt of even buying a fridge. You give it away. It is encouraging generosity, and it continues to commemorate that thing rather than by holding it, by giving it. So I want to say to Anisha also that giving it away is if you have a mindful connection with that thing, there will be no what she's saying, do I have to suddenly chop off my things and give to the kabadi? It will not be that kind of act, or a sensation of having done that. And also, and we've all experienced it, it doesn't mean you just go into monkhood where now you have one bowl and one spoon to eat it with. You may keep what you need. And after you give away stuff, you may find that now for your new phase of life, you may have to go out and buy something. It's not such a sentence that you can never go into a shop. You can never go out and get onto Amazon and look for that one particular thing that you want. For example, a gigantic egg beater has gone, but you buy a little one which goes into one little katori to beat one egg. You might go out and buy it. So in a way, you're clearing up space for getting more appropriate, more fitting things that you need now. If you're talking just about things. The other thing is the safety aspect. I think that we should all, as we age, remember this is outright safety issue of having too much stuff. Either, you then have to put it away, where you may clamber onto somebody somewhere to take it down once in a while. Dust, what are they called? Pests. Because you have so much stuff, you may box your things and say, I'll box them, I'll still use them whenever I want to. But what's happening inside that box is for months of disuse. It's a safety issue, I feel. Or even just old gadgets, something that's rusty, shawls that are musty, saris that have got maybe some demark on them. All of it needs to be looked at. And you must see the younger people in your life who are just जो ना torch मार रहे हैं ये चीज पे on the thing as well as your stage of life. एक torch मार रहे हैं, saying, look at this and let's get this all out from the dark out, and let's see how this whether we need it. You must treat that with gratitude in your head that somebody is helping you do this. I see in the West ads for even realtors who help you come to your house and tell you, I think for your living needs now, I will show you some other houses. And I will help you sell this one. And the realtor is taken on this role, if you want, of finding homes for your things, for your downsizing. I see ads of realtors saying this, that we can also help you do this. Of course, they are looking to sell a house and buy a house. All that is fine, but still, it is a recognition that now a new, it's not just downsizing, but the quality of what you own, where you live, the space you inhabit has to change. How to go about it, where she's asked how to go about it. I feel you should of course, consult yourself and not confuse and overthink it by asking too many people. Because then it will become like that, that story of the man and the donkey and the small child, where some people will say, nay, don't leave anything. Who are these young people to tell you this? You may use it. Jab tak jaan hai, tab tak you'll use everything. Somebody will tell you that. Somebody will talk about going cold turkey. So take your cues from the ones who are bringing it up to you. Unless they are insensitive and, being very harsh with you, that's a different thing. But from what I'm understanding from this question, somebody is just kind of pinging this point right now. And I think the discussion could be with your closest friends who will look at it not as some intergenerational battle or you being insulted or dismissed or diminished or becoming irrelevant, but look at it for what it is, which is a regrouping, a necessity to regroup and resize. Yeah, I've written here in my own notes that don't wait till someone has to, in Marathi we call it dandala dharun, somebody has to hold you by the arm and lead you to it. You wait when you're so old, or that you just become, then it's even more hurtful, insulting. Even you may not be fully out of things, but you're not capable anymore of sitting there and quite soberly, but with a tinge of joy, sadness mixed, orchestrating this thing yourself. If you do it when you can orchestrate it yourself. Don't wait till somebody's holding you by the arm and leading you away from your home and saying, now don't look back. Now I look after it all. It's also, we have to keep in mind that our juniors, the people who are telling us these things, are also not young people. They are also aging. Children in their 40s and sometimes in their 50s, if you are in your 70s and 80s. They have, she's recognized that they won't want her things. They have their own lives. They have their own compulsions. And part of the duties of being your child or niece or godchild or whoever they are, part of the duties are to help you to transition from one phase of your life to another, just like you have helped them earlier. So I would say, first of all, one should start early. You can start mentally doing this early. You may move 5 years from now, maybe 3 years from now, but then when you move, it will not be, as if somebody has just suddenly slammed several doors shut for you. You will have a game plan. You will have lived with the idea. You will have said small and large goodbyes to things. You'll have assessed what you can and can't do. In the question she asks about, do I need this? Do I use it? Yeah, I have to ask myself if I can anymore use, one is the use, one is the danger. Do I want to live in a house with a huge bathroom with a big slippery, what's it called, bathtub? Or do I want to downsize even in that, where even if I fall, I'll have walls to hang on to? All of that has you to start sort of thinking about it, I think. So I have a joke going with my own grandnieces, because I've recently done this myself. When I read this question, I thought how interesting, something I've recently done myself. We have a joke going where I pretend to be, see, they've understood, they also loved my old house. They've understood that it's gone. And now there are new circumstances. Sometimes if I remember, in my old house, we used to do this. So we have this joke going where I pretend to be a whiny person, still very attached to my things, and they'll quickly say to me, oh, boo-hoo. They're not being rude. It's a joke. It's a recognition that, yes, you are allowed to have pangs, but let's not wallow. It's a little construct. And I think, oh, boo-hoo is an important thing if you can say it to yourself, not somebody else saying it to you. Sorry. This camera has a life of its own. It's pivoting on its own. So one has to also, what did Freud call it? Turning neurotic misery into common grief. Recognizing it's not just you and your boo-hoo loss of all the lovely stuff you owned, or the life you had, or the places you traveled, or the friends you had, or the spouse you had. Into common grief. A recognition is this is a very, very normal rite of passage for every human being. And that you've been, privileged enough to enjoy all this stuff. And now it's time to spread it around. I think this is the thing. This is a thing to hang on to. There should be, I think, a plan or a broad timeline. Over this year, I will be, downsizing on this thing. Or over this few months, I will go and take a little recce of what kind of living arrangements are available to me. Or I'll call in an architect and ask him, if you live in a, double-story place, how I can turn this into a granny flat and maybe have lodgers below. I feel just start test driving these ideas. Very important. So you don't suddenly feel somebody's hijacked you, basically saying, chalo, time to go. Come on, gun to the head. Drop everything. Just take your, basic medicines and leave. One should not even go anywhere close to that stage of life. So almost like you have a floor plan for this whole downsizing. You may remain in your same house. See, there may be also people saying, maybe you won't move from that house, but just the clutter. maybe you repurpose a room, maybe you take in a lodge, whatever it is, but a fairly radical, a willingness to take a fairly radical look at now what your needs are. What else did I have that I had scribbled? One second. Huh? Yeah, prioritizing quality over quantity now becomes a thing. You keep your quality, if you owned 6 kadhais and 3 biryani pots, now to sentence yourself into no, your making days are gone. Instead of that, you now hone in on that one that you feel, if tomorrow I'm asked to make a really nice biryani in smaller quantities than I was used to, I'll keep this. So you still hang on to the quality of your what constituted, say, your kitchen life, if you had a kitchen life. Sort of this sort of guides the acquisitions of new items. It guides your acquisition of new items. I think all of us have gone through that stage where you'll have, one little divan, but 16 cushions, chote cushions. I have a friend she's young now, so it's fine for her. She's buying one cushion cover for every state of India, whatever our number, but she's going to have that many. One cushion cover, symbolizing one handicraft of one state of India. This is not the time to have that. It's a lovely idea. I'll go to a house and I'll enjoy it. But I think one has to watch that oh boo-hoo moment where you'll say, I also used to have these ideas. I also can do this, really speaking, but now. And then that oh boo-hoo moment. I think that's very important to not go into that zone. That Mary Con, one last thing I'll say, then we'll open it. Marie Con, is that how it's pronounced? Marie Con, the decluttering woman. I thought I kind of have not gotten on to that. And even when it happened, she's not talking about it in relation to stages of your life. It's just decluttering for an almost design and mental state thing. I felt many of the things she was advocating were just telling you that, almost as if saying, iska fashion gaya, ye mat karo. It's not a question of iska fashion gaya. Iska in your life, iska time gaya. Its significance in your life has gone. Biryani ke 3 big dakes put away up on some loft, with mice making home in it. That time has gone. Is what I think it is. That time to let it go is something that I would tell Anisha that dena padega. She's used the word. So does it mean ki sab kabadi mein dena padega? Nobody is holding a gun to your head. This is people who are midwifing, or to use a want of a very better word, they're midwifing you're birthing your new part of your life. They're midwives, and it's very good to have gentle and diplomatic and practical people around you while you transition into Gen S and Gen S plus. Okay, that's what I have to say about this. I want to throw this open to anybody who has anything to say about this. One last thing that the word burdened, for people not to be burdened with your things when you exit, not to be burdened with them, and not to be burdened with your great regret and the unhappy way if you have to be led kicking and screaming away from your things, figuratively speaking. It's a burden. It's a sad burden on the younger generation. You must watch out for that. Yeah, that was my one last point. Would anybody like to say anything on this? Yes. Meena, do you have your hand up? No. Yeah?
Yes, Gauri.
Yes.
Actually, I was scratching my ear.
Sorry?
I was scratching my ear, but you thought.
And I thought you were doing.
No, yes, but I'll take the chance.
Yes.
I'll take. Thanks so much for all these ideas and thoughts.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm 71 now, so this question is heavy on my head too.
Hmm.
And one area that troubles me are my books.
Hmm. Hmm.
I did you find a place where you could land your books comfortably?
Well, I'll tell you, I was really ruthless about it personally because
Huh?
I decided to give away anything that I was not going to reread,
Hmm.
which doesn't have to just be show ke liye books. So I did give one very big heap to this Pagdandi, then a library project in the they, of course, wanted much more Marathi, but still,
Hmm.
she took quite a few. It was difficult. Like, I had so many cookbooks. No young people want cookbooks. They don't want cookbooks. They are on the net. And, even I wouldn't buy a cookbook today, even if I was interested in a particular cuisine or a dish. So those were difficult. Um,
Then what? I mean, what did you do with them?
So one lot I brought, which I know that I will miss having them. I'll read them. So one lot went to a big box of them went to these people who take books. One went to Swatch. Swatch took some.
But
One
has
lot, yeah, yeah. One lot I gave to the girls' school, which were okay for more non-fiction stuff, travelogues and those kind of things, to the Karnataka High School library. And there were some which were really yellowed, Nobody's going to read them. Just gone old. Say
Yeah.
Woodhouse and, things which are replaceable also.
Yes.
And tomorrow I'll buy them on Kindle if I want to. So books. But I have a friend who just recently told me that she showed me photos, they're falling apart. And there's not Deemak, that silverfish, all that, her grandfather's books.
Hmm.
And instead of being able to say, no, no, I'm her grandfather. So her mother is now, sitting with them.
Hmm.
And this woman is my age. So, but she's got that, no, no, nobody's going to take these and I'm not going to throw them away. I know when I'm gone, my nieces and nephews will throw them in a minute. But if you know that, I feel then find something better to do. Better meaning do it yourself. It may not be better. You may still call the Raddiwala. But then
Yes, definitely.
you do it. It's like putting a dog to sleep. It's ill. You do it, yeah. Don't just turn your back and go and somebody has to come and put your dog to sleep. It's almost like that when it comes to some very precious possessions.
That's a strong example. Yeah.
Yeah. But because I'm saying you have to have the nerves to do it. Otherwise, if you say, I feel good that I didn't have to do anything with it, but I know that X years from now, the kabadi will come and put it in the holy fire. Oh, I don't see the point. Then you're carrying all that stuff. And I really think it's a hazard, by the way, a health hazard, you know?
Pakdandi is a good name you suggested, and Swatch
Yeah.
is another one. I was
Yeah.
wondering if places which would take literature, because I don't think like Ferguson College Library or University Library will anymore accept books like
No,
that.
no, no, no. Some engineering college books and all that also, engineering books. All these, a lot of these institutions have the funds. They'll buy new ones, newer stuff
Yes.
out. So literature has a better chance. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
This is of course just Pune centric, but in the Kamala Nehru Park, they have Pune Reads. They have something called Pune Reads, and they meet on Sundays and they all just sit reading there, just to encourage
okay.
people to sit down and read. And people come and leave books there, and the park only insists that you're not going to leave anything here. If you brought something and nobody's picked it up, you'll have to take it back home.
Okay. So if somebody takes it, they take it. If they don't want it,
Yeah, yeah,
bring it back. Okay.
yeah.
Mm. Well, thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Meena.
Yes, thanks, Meena.
Does anybody else have any specific what is it strategies? Yes, Deepali. Yes.
See, there is fabulous lightness when you've actually
Yes.
got given something away, or you just feel incredibly light after having done so. Be it
Absolutely.
jewelry, be it
Yeah.
books, be it
Yeah.
button, whatever,
Cookware.
whatever,
Yeah. Yes.
anything.
Anything.
And a few years ago, part of my basement storage room got flooded. And
Mm.
as it is, the basement storage room has stuff which one is not really using.
Mm.
And I felt terrible that things had got destroyed, which I would have happily given away if,
Yeah.
if I hadn't procrastinated after moving house.
Okay. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's really a good
Yeah.
example. Truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, with the basic fact, accepting that not only are we mortal, our possessions are also, nothing in this world of ours is going to last forever. So therefore,
Barabar.
use
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
we are going to go anyway.
Correct.
So if us,
Yeah.
yeah,
Good, warm, not clothing, but razais and stuff, which there's not a lot of wear and tear. And this is one of
yeah,
boohoo things in between me and the kids, which is, I just kept now, but reminds me that it reminds me of a time, like she's saying, like Anisha is saying here. It reminds you of times when you had guests and you were sleeping. There were, 12 people sleeping in your house. And if it was winter, you had enough garam kapda to give those 12 people. And it's lovely to remember that. But if you have a mindful connection with those razais, I'm very happy that somebody in Swatch took it and is using it. Does not wipe away anything from those 14 people I could sleep. You have to have that mindful connect. It's not कि वो रजाई सामने से निकल गई और
yeah.
वो दिन भी wipe off हो गए. I think this is
The days, the memories remain.
yeah.
Nobody's saying your memories have to go anywhere.
Correct.
My kids have very nicely decided that one of them is going to look after the books and decide what to keep, what to throw.
Good.
And the glassware and the cutlery and the crockery stays with the house, which is going to be inherited by two of my kids. So they know what they want. So
And they know
what
that it's
worries
coming.
me is
Yeah.
paperwork, just getting the paperwork, always being on top of paperwork. That is the toughest thing, I think.
Yes. And
And that scares me no end.
I think Jen's life, it's not, like I said, it's not in the purview of this Dil Ki Baatein, but I think they're planning a session with lawyers about wills, about making wills, and how
Wills we have made.
Yeah,
We were very pragmatic about that. But
okay.
the rest of the paperwork, there's
No, of
so
course.
much of life is paperwork. No?
Of course. Yeah. So
So
I'm going
the
to put
husband
here
handles it, so it's okay.
how
Yeah.
you correct. I'm going to put up here um on the chat for you people to read later. Some of you may have read them. Two pieces that I happen to have written about the same thing. One is from 2015, when I went with a friend to wind up her mother's house. Or her aunt's. Yeah. Somebody who I also was fond of. And the thoughts that come with that. And one is from just 4 months ago when I did this. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Meena. Okay. Thanks for coming. Yeah. I'll keep you informed about these. Meena was here for the first time. Yeah.
Ma'am, the PDF.
I'm sending you now. Where do I put it in the, how do I, 1 second now. How do I give it to you? How do we put it up here, the PDF? Thanks for reminding me.
Ma'am, now like एकदम नीचे on the text box there is a paper icon.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, docs, na? The docs one, na? Yeah.
It's on your laptop.
Yes. Oh, on my laptop, not in this. I pressed something called docs in the Zoom meeting. Is that something that works also?
Is it? Yeah, it may work, but if the PDF is in your laptop,
Yeah.
you can click on my computer. your computer. So
Yeah,
you can directly upload it.
really? Hmm. Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys. Just a minute. Hmm. Meaning where? Tell me. They're right here in front of me. Can I not? Okay, Krish, you need to. Is that there in the chat? The WhatsApp number on which people can write questions?
Yeah, I'll be uploading it right away.
Huh? So when you put that, let me get on to the chat myself. Share chat. Okay, here. Chat. Huh? Can I not put it here? File. Yeah. I'm putting it here. My computer. 2 seconds, guys. Let's I just upload this so then I'm sure that then we can keep chatting. They're PDFs. Okay, yeah, they're here. So anybody wants to download this, please feel free to download to read it later. They're very much all the stuff we've talked about is in there, and they're first person accounts on my part, were written by me. First person experiential stuff that I've written. Um, I hope Anisha gets to see this too. We'll figure out how. Then the other thing what we were talking about. Yeah, that's okay, no, Krish? Now? And you're going to put up all the details about where,
Yes,
uh,
I'll be putting the details for the
yeah,
contact.
yeah. So in the chat box, Krish is putting up the WhatsApp number, the YouTube connection, the way you can join the app, the Gen S Life app if you would like to. All of this information is in the chat box here. Yeah. All the official links. You could just just block and copy and then look at it later yourself. Yeah. Okay. The one thing, to go back to our subject about to our topic of particularly the angst that somebody like Anisha is feeling, where you have to accept, I think, that you will not arrive at this unless you're a very sort of evolved soul and you've been giving it a lot of thought. You may not arrive at this juncture that yes, I need to do this in a necessarily at the same time that the people around you are. I'm meaning that even the opposite can happen. You might be saying, I should now, wind down my things a bit. Or you might tell your kids, listen, pay attention to some of this paperwork. If I suddenly pop it, you need to know. And your kids will say, don't talk about that. I don't want to talk about it. The other thing, where they're not saying, yes, let's sit down, but they are just in denial about your mortality. Uh, or they're just being terribly polite because it's just not done talking about your death, or forget death, of you being incapacitated. So I think so. There's going to be a mismatch sometimes between when that time has arrived. There's no one size fits all thing. It cannot be when I turn 60, when I turn 65. It just has to either you take your cues from what the people around you are doing, people of your age, or what your children are saying to you, or your close friends are telling you to do, or if it comes naturally for you to say, this is the time I should. I think for me personally, it came along because my father was like this, and who was very very practically began to sort of transfer power, as they say, of knowing what is where, and divest also, and his father before him also, and that's all there in one of those pieces. So it became part of my DNA to start thinking that way soon. the uppermost thing being feeling blessed that the person did not leaving you a huge mess to fight with this bank and that bank and this post office savings and, looking at papers and house papers. And, he had just uh, put it all together very well, whatever it was. So that for me was the prompt to start doing it. I think one should separate, I really think one should separate ideas of your mortality from ideas of how much anybody around you loves you or doesn't love you. I don't think they are literally not connected. And you shouldn't burden people with this equals that, It may be an old-fashioned
Yeah.
thing. I mean, there are men, particularly, I find, I'm sorry to sweepingly generalize, but I've met people who are still burdened with that absence of will, vanishing of the patriarch. Absent, no will, no, not made. Just don't want to face it. And they're still, you're ending up leaving your children to maybe fight with each other, leaving so much ambiguity. All of that is what this book talks about. दूसरे का ख्याल करके, you have to exit keeping in mind that's not just you and your karma and your exit, but it's a whole lot of people who you make things either very difficult for or very easy for. That's what I wanted to say. Yes, Deepali. Yes.
Just reminded me of a time some 20 odd years ago when I was going in for a surgery, and I decided that before I went in for that surgery, I'd better just consolidate all the important papers of the house, which at that point were not all that many as they are now.
Okay.
And I said, well, if I do it, if I come through, wonderful.
Yeah.
I'll be organized.
Right.
And if I don't, at least my survivors are not going to curse me and say, what a mess this woman is left.
Yes.
I don't want
Yes.
the survivor's curse to fall on my belated soul.
Yeah. And this is the book that I mentioned. I'm forgetting her name because I haven't got the book. I've just read about it. I've read reviews and I've read little excerpts from it. Not available. I mean, if we buy it, it'll cost us 1,800 rupees. I mean, it's supposed to be a slimish book, where she talks just about that, very specifically talking about taking responsibility for your impact on the people around you. Your impact when you're alive and your impact when you exit. Then acknowledging accepting the inevitable nature of one's passing. It says individuals can free themselves from the overwhelming burden of material possessions they accumulate throughout their lives. And I love that phrase, fostering mindful connections with objects. Then it's not, then you don't feel as if you're being, your nails are being pulled out when you give away your things. You have a mindful connection with your things.
Yeah, I think also, Gauri, that in the last couple of decades, that people have acquired, one of the problems of plenty is having more and more stuff, which we didn't have earlier.
Correct.
I know my mother had a very limited number of saris, going out saris or whatever.
Yeah.
And overall, the memory of the house I grew up in it was lighter and heavier in different ways.
Correct.
Yeah? Like the kitchen storeroom was a heavier place.
Yeah.
With grains and things and all, but the personal possessions and garments,
there won't be 22
those
handbags.
were much less.
Yeah, there won't be 22 handbags, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I have drawers full of handbags which are going and are not beautiful enough to use, are too good to throw. I have to get rid of them. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. And like I was saying in the beginning, that in our country, it's there is the questions that she tells us to ask. Have I used it recently? Will it bring joy to someone else? Is it time to let it go? Will anyone be happier if I save this? All these questions, when did I last use it? In our country, it's easy because there are
people you can give stuff to.
Down the gate, It's no big, you do some huge Oxfam or nothing. There's people who you see every day who will be happy to have it, you know.
Yeah.
So then there's even less excuse to let it just
Hang on to stuff.
unused.
Yeah.
Yeah, unused. Pile up unused. Okay. Anybody have anything else to say? I'm glad to see more people today. The last time we were very few. Finally, Dipali and me were having chai pe charcha in the room ourselves. Yeah, yeah. Krish, is it 5? Yeah, it's almost 5. Shall we stop here?
Yes, ma'am, we can wind up the program.
Yeah, shall we?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't got a question for next time, and I will bring it up next week. Normally, I announce the theme for next time. I
Yeah.
don't have one today. Something will come along. We'll see. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Sure.
Bye then. Bye everybody.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
See you. Thanks. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.